she's sick and it's going to be at least a day before I can bring her back. Can I take some work home that I can work with her, so she doesn't fall further behind? Maybe it's something like that. But, okay.
Thanks.
Holmes? Okay, go ahead, Counsel.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Welcome, 34696, 300, Representative Sharon Holmes is here to my right. Your Honor, Ms. Holmes is here today for an arraignment. First, we will waive the formal reading and stand here.
Thank you.
Prosecutor has offered 771.1 status on this case of criminal responsibility. Ms. Holmes wishes to avail herself of that.
All right. Did you discuss your rights and options with counsel? You understand those rights and the options the options? Do you understand your rights and the options those rights give you? Do you understand the possible penalty for today's charge? Up to $500 fines plus court costs, up to 90 days in jail. You understanding all of that? Are you pleading guilty to the charge? Are you doing so freely and voluntarily today? All right. Your son's name Carter? All right. How old is Carter? How many days did he miss? 24. You satisfied, counsel?
Yeah.
So am I. All right. So what was going on, Mom?
I just, I work a lot. And I don't have, help. Towards our school.
Where are you going to school?
But I'm watching. Community.
What are you trying to do? Good for you. Good for you.
So, basically, for Sunday class, I mostly for Sunday, I dropped 3 classes. Like, I didn't drop, but I'm just narrowing it down to.
Right.
Right. So, I don't know, I worked Fridays for most of the days I missed on Fridays. I could be aware this anyway. His bus come at 7.
Where do you work at?
4. Yeah, Michigan Center.
Right.
So, and then, I got a split shift, so my Fridays and Saturdays are mornings, and my Sunday and Mondays are afternoons. So it's just like most of the days are Friday, and he's using, and I don't have one to help, like, get him up beside my oldest, he's 17. He doesn't go inside school, he's virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So he helps, but I don't. He just basically I can't depend not for life. He's not the language.
Yeah, he's 17. So what's the plan for next year? Because I don't hear this being resolved before next year.
No.
How? What's the plan?
They like alarm already. Even if I have to, then I'm gonna figure it out. If I have to take a day for my Fridays off, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What did you do after high school?
Actually, I just got back into school. Like, I did not.
Did you graduate high school? Okay. All right. So I didn't think so because most people aren't going pre-med at your age. So I figured you didn't do it the traditional way. Okay. So here's where I'm going with this. First of all, hear my heart on this. Good for you. All right. If nothing else, you going back to school later in life should be showing your kids how important education is in your household. Okay. So that's huge. I think that's probably one of the most important things to determine whether or not a kid will be a successful student is if it's real important in the house. So I think that's great. Okay. I give you credit. It can't be easy to go back to school. I just told somebody the other day, these people, I talked to people that they went back to school after 12 years out of college. I'm like, never, no way. Wouldn't do it. So I give you a lot of credit for what you're trying to accomplish because you're going to be in school for a long time. Hell, Carter might be done with school before you are, right? So a huge pat on the back from me. But here's where I'm going with this. Because you lived it. If Carter doesn't maximize his academic potential, K through 12, his life is not going to be as full of options as it could have been, right? As a mom, what do we want for our kids, right? As a parent, what do you want for your kid? You want them to have you want all the doors in the world to be wide open, waiting to welcome them in, right? Okay. But we know, as adults, we know that there are always going to be some doors locked. All right. I always tell people this. I never wanted to be a basketball guy because I'm not an athlete. I'm not a sports guy. I could care less about any of it. But let's say my lifetime dream was to play in the NBA. I mean, I'm not even 6 foot tall. Probably wasn't going to happen, right? Odds are, I mean, I know that, there's a few, but so certain doors will never be open to certain people based on skill set, whatever. Okay. But as parents, we want to make sure that more doors are open than locked. I firmly believe this: education equals opportunity. Right? Well, I'm telling you all that to tell you this: you got to figure it out. Right? You got to figure it out. I don't know if that means you've got to, you got to pay a neighbor to come bang on the door and make sure he gets on the bus in the morning. You got to figure it out, because he could be a really, really good student, but he's still not going to be the best student he could be if he's missing every Friday. I mean, you know that because you're struggling with school now, right? Okay. So make sure that everybody in the school knows what you're struggling with, knows what you're trying to accomplish, knows the problems you're having. Because one thing I've learned working these special dockets with attendance issues is most schools have tons of resources available to share with parents that most of the parents don't even know about. But the school doesn't schedule a quarterly meeting with you to sit down and say, hey, look at all these resources. Can any of these help you? You've got to go to them and say, these are my problems. Can you help with anything? Okay. Maybe they can't, but you got to ask, right? So make sure you build good connections with the school personnel. All right. Okay. So 12-month delayed sentence, you stay out of trouble, no new crimes, and we keep Carter in school every day. Then this gets dismissed. Any questions? Good luck to you. Okay, thanks.
Your Honor, was net 34696, appearing on behalf of the Finance Mayor. Your Honor, today for an arraignment. Sorry, today for the arraignment.
Right. Ms. Banks, did you discuss your rights and options with counsel? You understand all that? And do you understand the possible penalty for today's charge? Understanding all of that, are you pleading guilty? Are you doing so freely and voluntarily? All right. Paperwork says your daughter's name is Serenity. How old is she? 8. And how many days did she miss? Satisfied, counsel? So am I. All right, Mom, same question for you. What was causing the absences, and what's the plan to prevent it for the next school year?
Majority of absences from school for being sick, and because of the policy, they have 24 hours to do.
Yeah.
4 hours
Yeah.
free of this.
She got some kind of chronic illness or just
No.
bad luck? Yeah.
She'd come into school sick, she'd come back.
Yeah.
They'd call me, and I would end up having to
Okay.
take her home. And because she was being sent home, like, every time I pick them up, this time she had to be 24 hours free sent done.
Right.
So I ended up keeping her home. And my assumption was that because she was sent home the next day, that it was school, I didn't have to actually call in that day.
Okay.
Because she got been sent home.
Right.
You know, the rule was there,
Right.
so I didn't call in the next day.
Yeah. So communication. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So here's my lecture for you. And I understand she's not chronically ill, but some kids are just chronically unlucky, right? All their friends are the sickies, right? So they're passing it around, and it's a chain, right? Healthy, sick, and then sick, healthy. They just, right. So, your job as mom, okay, is to make sure that she's getting the very best education she can, right? Okay. So I don't know what it'll be. Maybe you can have some conversation with the schools. For example, maybe, I don't know, but find out. Maybe the way you can avoid some problems is, all right, look, I know you're sending her home because she's sick, and it's going to be at least a day before I can bring her back. can I take some work home that I can work with her, you know, so she doesn't fall further behind? Maybe it's something like that. But, okay,
That's basically the work.
good, good, good. Okay, all right, so 12 months, stay out of trouble, no new crimes, no further problems with Serenity. We dismiss this at the end of the 12 months. Got it? Questions? Good luck.
But they're well.
The courtroom then moved to another school attendance case involving Ms. Holmes, a mother who appeared before the judge on a parental responsibility violation connected to her daughter, Serenity. As the hearing began, the judge reviewed the circumstances surrounding the child's absences and discussed the importance of maintaining regular attendance at school. Ms. Holmes explained that many of the absences occurred because her daughter had been sent home sick, and school policy required her to remain at home for a full 24 hours before returning. Throughout the hearing, the judge listened carefully to her explanation while also emphasizing that parents are ultimately responsible for ensuring their children receive a proper education and attend school consistently. After reviewing the situation, Ms. Holmes chose to accept responsibility and entered a guilty plea under a delayed sentence arrangement. Rather than imposing an immediate punishment, the court decided to give her an opportunity to demonstrate improvement. The judge granted a 12-month delayed sentence, explaining that if she remains out of trouble and there are no further attendance problems involving her daughter during that period, the charge can be dismissed entirely. The decision reflected the court's approach of encouraging parents to correct attendance issues while providing them with a chance to avoid a permanent conviction if they successfully meet the court's expectations. As that hearing concluded, another parent, Ms. Garner, stepped forward to address a similar parental responsibility violation involving her son. The judge began reviewing the case and started the process of confirming her plea, following the same procedures used in other school attendance matters heard throughout the session. However, before the full details of her case could be discussed and a final decision announced, the available recording came to an end. Even from the brief portion that was shown, it was clear that the court remained focused on holding parents accountable while also encouraging solutions that would help children return to regular school attendance and avoid future educational problems.